What's up, y'all? I'm Dell, and today I'm reacting to 3 Scary True Lockdown Horror Stories, Volume 4 by Mr.Nightmare. And it's 4 a.m. in the morning, because I ain't had nothing else to do. I was like, I want to make a YouTube video, but I ain't know what to do. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to react to something. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at yeadatdell. Follow me on Twitter at just__Dell. And follow me on TikTok at just__Dell 2. Or is it just one underscore? Because they fucking banned my first account. Like, dang, that's crazy. They ain't give me no warning. And yeah, let's get into the video. And let me make sure I'm screen recording this video. Oh yeah, and I got this blanket on because I can't get my hair cut till next week. So yeah. And my fans is off, so y'all don't hear nothing. So yeah, like yes, I'm hot a little bit. So let's get this video over with. Story 1, Anonymous.
I work in a middle school as an 8th grade math teacher. Some of you may assume that means I'm like 38 or something, but I'm actually only 26. I was hired young. I'm not saying I'm immature or anything, just that if I was 10 or 20 years older, I may have handled things differently. Of course, this happened during a period that I was teaching a class. The math wing in our school is closest to the lobby. I remember it like it was yesterday, down to the equation I was writing on the board when the lockdown alarm suddenly sounded. It wasn't a drill. All faculty and students are taught which alarms mean what, and this was the alarm that meant go into lockdown for real, not a drill. I hurried to the door to lock it. Each door in the building has a big glass panel in it though, so the doors have little blinds that you could pull down to cover this. Even though we're supposed to pull down the blinds during lockdowns, we're also supposed to instruct students to hide in one corner of the room with the lights off. As I turned off the lights in the classroom, I told the students to go hide in the corner of the room where we would be least visible and audible from the door. I saw the lights in the hallways dim to just the backup lights, something I'd never...
Pause. Yo, I remember we had a lockdown. We had a little lockdown drill, or it wasn't a drill or something, because it was like a shooting or something by the school. And niggas, my niggas, I was in what class was I don't know. But niggas was ducking down with a whole pocket knife out in his hand. Like, yo was ready. I mean, like, I always had my knife on me too, but I have it out. Yo was not playing no games, but like, play.
Seen before till that point. I was slightly worried because I knew this had to be serious. And like I said, the math wing is right by the lobby. My classroom is one of the first classrooms you pass as you're going through one of the 2 hallways that veer from the lobby. I was curious, so using the classroom phone, I called the front office. They didn't pick up after 4 rings, so I hung up. I wasn't endangering anyone to my knowledge because the front office is behind 2 doors and the phone wouldn't be heard from the lobby. But still, them not picking up was concerning. There was suddenly a knocking on the door, a frantic, panicked knocking, accompanied with someone on the other side of the door begging to be let in. It wasn't a student, the voice was way too deep. It sounded to me like a guy in his early 20s, if I had to guess. I went to the door quietly and saw the person's shadow on the other side of the blind. He started saying he could see me through the blind and knew I could hear him. He kept saying let me in this scared-sounding kind of whimpery voice. I looked to my students. Some of them had scared, confused looks on their faces. I signaled for them to keep quiet. Then I asked through the door, "Who's there? What's your name?" He said his name was Cody and that he was a student and needed to get into the classroom because he felt unsafe in the halls. When he told me this, I noticed he seemed to be trying to talk in a slightly higher pitch. I wasn't falling for it. There was no way that voice belonged to a middle schooler. I ignored him and went back to the corner by the students.
You know damn well that's not no
The guy on the other side of the door started knocking harder now, fiddling with the doorknob and then kind of thrashing at the door, all while still saying help, let me in. I did my best to keep my students from screaming or freaking out. The guy eventually gave up and the noises stopped. We stayed in lockdown for half an hour before an announcement was made that police had searched the building and it was safe. So later on, faculty was given more details, and apparently some 20-something-year-old guy with long hair down to his shoulders was walking around the school with a small handgun. Whether it was a real gun or not remains unknown, but the guy was caught on camera leaving the building through a back exit, and he was found by police 2 hours later, not holding the gun. I think I could have handled the situation a little better. For example, not even answering the guy when he was at the door. But I was so nervous that I really wasn't thinking logically. It's scary to think about what might have transpired if I opened the door for him.
In my middle school, he would have got jumped. And that story was weak for real. Story 2, Emily Walsh. Was like, you should have just
This
sat
was
there
back
in
in my
silence.
university
Like,
days, not
what
too
is you
long
doing?
ago. I was
Doing
in between
damn well.
classes with an hour-long gap. I had to go to the bathroom, but I didn't like using the bathrooms that most other people use. There were a couple restrooms on campus that were never really used. For example, the activity center building's bathroom. Our school's activity center was usually a ghost town during early day hours, and it was next to the building where I'd be having my next class, so it wasn't like it was far away. Inside the lobby of the activity center, some guy was sitting on a desk looking down at his phone. He looked up at me as I passed and said good morning. I said it back and proceeded around the curved hallway to the restrooms. While I was in one of the stalls, the door to the restroom opened and a man asked if anyone's in here. Being that it was the women's restroom, I was a little weirded out by that. I didn't answer. The door to the restroom closed, but I heard footsteps come up to my stall and stop. There was a light tap on the stall door with one of his fingers,
No.
I'd presume. Then, in that ever so tiny crack in the door, I saw the man pressing his face up through it. I saw his eye looking in for a second. I gasped and said, "Someone's in here." He replied back asking why I didn't answer him, then told me this building and all nearby buildings are going into lockdown because of an apparent student who was sighted with a weapon. I didn't understand.
Pause. No. That's straight up bullshit. I wouldn't believe that for not 1 second. First of all, if that was true, what is you peeping through there for? If you know somebody's in there, you would just say it out loud. Like, fuck no. Like, fuck no. Hell no.
And why he was in the women's bathroom with me, though. I left the stall to be face to face with him, and it was that guy that was sitting on the desk before. I was guessing he was the front desk worker or whatever for this building. He had to be trustworthy. He showed me a text on his phone from a random number, and it was a warning from the university to stay inside whatever building and classrooms you're in and to lock all the doors due to a potentially armed individual on campus. I found that alarming, so I felt comfortable with him going to blockade the bathroom door with a garbage bin. After he did that, though, the two of us just stood in the bathroom together, awkwardly, like I was trying to ask him for more details about the potentially armed person.
Pause again. If he, what he need just so get this, just so happen just get the message. If he was literally just sitting out there talking about some good morning. No, that ain't adding up. Like, if that was true, why the fuck weren't you going somewhere too? Like, no.
On campus. He said he had no other information on it, though. Something about the way he was looking at me relentlessly, like no social cues or when to stop staring at me. I felt uneasy. I pulled out my phone to create a buffer, and as I was on my phone, I thought to just look for a similar text from the school that he showed me, but I didn't get any text from the university. I went to the school's website, which would often have news and alerts. It didn't have anything about it, though. I asked this man's name, and he said his name was Eli, that he worked in the building. Now that I thought about it, though, his outfit consisted of light blue bootcut jeans with brown boots and a gray hoodie. He looked, if anything, like a maintenance worker. Instead of trying to continue the conversation with him, I was on my phone texting friends, any friends who I knew were on campus at the moment, asking if they heard anything about this armed person. I had 2 friends text back saying no, class was in session like normal. I looked up at the man, who was now even closer to me. Time stopped moving in that instant. He looked at the door, then whispered to me that he thought he heard something, that we should make a move to one of the stalls and hide. I froze, both physically and mentally. He started to walk up to me, with his arms slightly extended out to nudge me into one of the stalls with him. At this point, the only thing I could do was scream, as loud as I could. I caught him off guard, and I think he went into full-on panic mode, because he looked around the room and then hurried to move the trash bin away from the door and storm out of the bathroom. I proceeded to leave the bathroom a few seconds after him, running to the nearest exit. From there, I called my mom to cry to her about it. She actually called campus police for me and then drove to the school to meet me, and that's when I told campus police about the man, with my mom there to support me. A day later, I received a call from campus police, and they said they reviewed the footage caught in the building and could confirm that man did not work at the school, and that they would do their best to find out who he was. I never received any future updates.
What was his plan? What the fuck, bro? story tree. Alexander T. Like, what
It was
the fuck
ninth
was he trying
period,
to
the end
do?
of the
Like,
school
why was
day,
he just
senior
sitting
year of
in
high
there?
school. Ninth period was one of my off
Same.
periods, so my school days would be a little shorter. A couple of my friends also had their schedules set up that way. Ryan and Scott. Our third friend Tyler had off ninth period every other day. This was one of the days he didn't have off. But since it was Friday and a nice day out, we were all texting each other making plans to hit the beach. Tyler was talking about sneaking out of gym early to come with us, so we were waiting in the hallway by the gym. This hall was in the far corner of the school. The only people passing were students going to gym class. Tyler texted us that he was just going to wait till the gym teacher took attendance, then sneak back to the locker room and meet us in the hall. We waited there for a decent minute. He was taking a while for some reason. There's a set of exit doors at the end of the gym hall we were standing in. It wasn't supposed to be used as an entrance, yet here came some guy through the doors. Even though it was a really nice day out, this guy came through the two doors in the hall wearing black sweatpants and a black zipper-up hoodie with the hood over his head. He was also wearing a black backpack. We went silent as he walked past us, making a point of looking at all three of us with this dagger of a stare. Ryan stepped up and said, "What, dude? Fuck off." And the guy stopped in his tracks and turned to face Ryan and ask him if he's got a problem. Scott and I stepped in and just said forget it over and over until the guy turned and kept walking. We all agreed that guy seemed extremely sketchy. He looked like he could have been a student, but none of us recognized him. He had a little facial hair, but it was kind of patchy though. A few minutes later, I texted him asking him to hurry up, and he texted back he couldn't sneak out just yet since we're in lockdown. This was a shock to us because we weren't aware of this. He said the gym teachers announced it and everyone was hiding in the locker rooms. We also just realized the doors separating the gym hallway from the actual locker room hallway were closed and locked. We immediately linked it to that creepy looking dude dressed in all black who just walked past us. The reality hit us so much harder when there were these popping sounds from down one of the hallways. At first they sounded like maybe a teacher slamming books on a desk as if to wake a student up or something. But we quickly put two and two together and realized they were gunshots. The sounds of students screaming quickly followed. Next thing we knew, we saw that guy in the black appear down the hall, and he was running full speed towards us. The three of us ran out the two doors that the guy entered from, and all the way to the woods next to the school. In that moment, I felt the curtains of life slowly closing, the thought of death becoming a reality. I looked back twice as we ran, and saw that guy was chasing us, but he was kind of far away. He screamed stuff at us, most of it inaudible, but I did make out him saying, "I'm gonna kill you, Fed." We made it to the woods by hopping the fence that surrounds the perimeter of the school, and when we had a nice shield of trees covering us from view, we stopped to catch our breath. We decided to wait it out, laying flat on the ground to avoid detection. We then heard footsteps nearby. They got louder and louder until I could see him running through the woods looking for us. He ran further away from us, not noticing us, and when he was out of sight, we all agreed to run for it back to the senior parking lot. Between the running and the shock of the near-death experience we just had, I don't know how I didn't vomit. We got to my car and I drove all three of us to my house. Obviously the beach idea was out the window now. It later blew up on social media in our high school class group chat that one of the new teachers was shot by the guy and was sent to the hospital in an ambulance. He survived, but everyone thought he was going to die considering he got shot twice. No one knows who that guy was or why he targeted that one specific teacher. I'm sure he went after us because Ryan antagonized him. He probably waited to come back for us, or Ryan specifically, because he didn't want to alert the whole school with a gunshot. Who knows though. But that wouldn't have really mattered anyway because the school was already tipped off by a nearby house about him because he was seen pissing on their property before going to the school, not to mention the way he was dressed on an 80-degree day. I consider this a near-death experience, and I count my lucky stars I survived.
Okay. What, yo? What, bro? Niggas was antagonizing a motherfucking shooter, and he ain't even know it. You ain't find that suspicious, all black, 80-degree weather with a black hoodie on. And how did the school know they was on lockdown? And they didn't. Like, they didn't. Don't they have an alarm for when you go on lockdown? Why did they not have that? How did the school know? What the fuck? What if he just walked up in there, pop, pop, pop? Dummy. That's wild. That's the scariest one because like, what the fuck? That's crazy. But like, okay, well, that's that on that. Like, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stick around for the next time I post, whenever that might be. And peace out.